What's up guys, it's Nicole, also known as Nikki Vegan, and in today's video I'm taking you through a movie night where I'm going to be making a themed dinner. I've got some really easy and delicious movie night snacks, some relaxation tips because I know relaxing isn't always the easiest thing to do, and a lot of tips and tricks along the way, so I hope you enjoy. I teamed up with Thrive Market to bring you this video, and it's where I got a lot of my healthy vegan snacks, spices, and pantry essentials to make this a budget-friendly movie night. So I hope you guys enjoy this video, and let's get started. So the first step in my routine is to try to end work a little bit earlier than usual, and the reason I do this is that so I actually have enough time to relax and unwind. It's not very practical to think that you're always going to be able to take a whole day off or a whole weekend off even, but I find that just giving myself a little bit more time in the evening to shut down my computer and just spend a couple of hours doing things that make me happy really does have an effect. So it doesn't have to be all or nothing. I shut my computer and I tidy up my desk a little bit and then change into comfy clothes. The next step is to get outside. I find that just moving my body a little bit also has a really great effect, and this creates a nice transition in my day. Sometimes it can be hard for me to go from work mode straight into relaxation mode, so I find that going on a walk and just having that change of environment and change of pace really does help to ease me into an evening of relaxation. During this time, sometimes I will call my friends or family, maybe I'll listen to a podcast, or sometimes I just walk in silence, which really does feel so nice, especially at the end of a busy work day, because it gives me an opportunity to just sort through my thoughts and be really present. I'll listen to the sounds of the city and the wind in the trees, and it is really calming. Now, on a night like this, I find that it's really comforting to follow a recipe because I know that all I have to do is follow the steps and I'm gonna have a really delicious meal. I linked the recipe that I'm using in this video in the description box below because she did post it online. And the next thing that I do is to create a cozy ambiance in the kitchen. So I'll open the windows, sometimes I'll listen to a podcast or some music. On this day, I had a podcast all queued up and ready to go that I was looking forward to, and it was an interview with the author of the book that I had just finished. If you watched my Black Lives Matter video, then you know that I'm trying to read more books by more Black authors, and this was one of those books, so it was great to get to listen to this while I was cooking. And on this day, I decided to make a Greek-inspired moussaka, and this is a layered vegetable dish. Sometimes it will traditionally have a meat and a creamy sauce, but this one was a vegetable-based one that I got from Anna's cookbook. But the first layer is potatoes, so I went ahead and I let those cook. And in the meantime, I moved on to roasting my cherry tomatoes and onions. And these tomatoes are so good right now. They're in season, so if you hate tomatoes, definitely give them a try around this time of year. They're so much more delicious and flavorful. So in the recipe, it just says to combine your tomatoes and onions on a cookie sheet with some olive oil, lemon zest, salt, pepper, and chili flake. And I just mix this all around and spread it out into an even layer. And this is going to bake in the oven, and the onions caramelize. They get so flavorful and nice and sweet, and it adds a really nice pop of flavor in the finished dish. While the potatoes were cooking and the onions were caramelizing, I went ahead and I grilled up the veggies. The recipe calls for 2 eggplants, but on this day I did 1 eggplant and 2 zucchinis because that's what I had on hand. And the only thing that I did a little bit different was I seasoned the zucchini with some dried thyme. So I went a little off the book, but it was a really nice addition and I highly recommend it. I also recommend getting yourself a grill pan if you don't have one. I find that vegetables like zucchini and eggplant are kind of hit or miss for people, but grilling them really adds so much flavor and it's such an easy way to cook them up. The final step in this recipe is to make a creamy bechamel sauce, and a bechamel sauce is usually made out of milk or heavy cream and butter. Sometimes it will also have egg yolks, and sometimes it will even have cheese, but this was a vegan version using coconut oil and flour. I decided to use a garbanzo bean flour, and I found that when I was using this, it worked really well. It did get nice and thick, but I did have to use a little bit more. I would say double than what the recipe called for, just to get it to be the right consistency. But as you add your almond milk, it will thicken up and create a nice cream sauce to pour over the vegetables. So now all that's left to do is just assemble the moussaka. So the first layer is potatoes, and you want to let those kind of crisp up on the bottom layer. And then I added my eggplant and also the caramelized onions and roasted tomatoes, which were so fragrant. Oh my gosh, this was already smelling so good. Then I added the zucchini, and I finished with the final layer of bechamel sauce, and I spread that in an even layer on top. I reserved a few of the tomatoes and onions for the top layer just for presentation. I feel like that's what she did in the photo. It's what it looked like anyway, so I decided to copy that so I could also take a photo. And this just goes into the oven for a few minutes to brown, and I finished it with a little bit of fresh parsley on top. Now this is one of those dishes that really does benefit from resting. You know how when you cut into a lasagna too soon, it kind of falls apart? The same happens here. So I turned off the stove, I covered this with a lid, and I let it hang out while I took a shower. Now the only little pamper thing I did on this night was to use an ice cube all over my face. At first it's a little bit shockingly cold, but then it starts to feel really good, and especially after being on the computer all day, this is really light and refreshing. But this is all I did. I didn't go into a whole crazy pamper night routine. I find that it can be really tempting to try to squeeze all of the things you want to do into one evening of relaxation, and that ends up not being that relaxing. So instead of doing a whole session of pampering on this night, I did my normal skincare routine and moved on with my evening. The next step is to turn off the overhead lights and put on my candles and lamps. I find that this has an immediate relaxing effect, as does putting on some comfy loungewear and going into the kitchen to get some snacks for the movie. Now, don't get me wrong, on a movie night, I will very often just eat hummus straight out of the container and chips straight out of the bag. But if you're entertaining, or if you just want to make your night feel a little bit more special, this is a really great hack to know how to do, so I thought I would share it with you. And it basically just involves fancying up some store-bought hummus. So the first step is just to transfer it to a bowl, which already has an immediate effect. It looks so much prettier within just a few seconds. And then the next thing I like to do is to decorate it with some dried herbs. I got this Za'atar seasoning from Thrive Market, which has some thyme and some sesame seeds and sumac. I also sprinkled on some paprika for a pretty pop of color, and also some sesame seeds. And then I drizzled the top with olive oil. And I find that if you use the back of your spoon to create some pretty ridges, it just looks really elegant. And I feel like this looks like something you would get at a restaurant, and it has, I don't know, just a little bit of visual intrigue, which I think really elevates the evening and makes it feel a little bit more special and fancy, even though this takes about a minute. So I don't do this every time, but it's a great thing if you're going to be entertaining or around the holidays. Definitely remember this hack for those occasions, because it really does have a wow factor. Now, I actually made this hummus dip the night before, so all I had to do on this night was assemble my snack tray. On this night, I had some dolmas that I picked up from Thrive Market, which are stuffed grape leaves, as well as my marinated olives. I will put that recipe in the description box below. And I just started assembling some of my favorite snacks. So these are some everything crackers that I got in my last grocery haul. I also had some thinly sliced cucumbers, which I also used for dipping. I added the dolmas to the plate along with the olives. And then this is another hack that I don't always do, but especially when you want to make something feel fancy or around the holidays again, it's really nice to grab some fresh herbs and to arrange them on the plate to kind of fill in the gaps. Not only does it look pretty, but it also adds a nice aroma to the air, which again just adds to the fancy feeling and just makes everything feel a little more festive, and it's so easy. So as you can see, there are some beautiful layers of veggies going on here. So I went ahead and I took my dinner, my sparkling water, which I transferred to a wine glass just because it feels a little fancier that way, and my movie night snacks. Yes, I know that nacho puffs are not very Mediterranean at all, but they are kind of an essential for movie night. So I grabbed that and my snack plate and I headed over to the couch. I had my movie all queued up and ready to go, which is a really good tip from me to you, because if you're anything like me, you will just scroll and scroll and scroll through Netflix and your food ends up getting cold and it's not ideal. So on this night, I had quite a few ready to go because you guys gave me some great ideas in my grocery haul. So thank you to everyone who took the time to comment. I wrote all of those movies down and I am working my way through the list. But on this night, I went for Mamma Mia because even though I've seen it before, it just felt like the perfect feel-good movie to enjoy with my dinner and my snacks. As I was sitting here, I was realizing that it actually felt like an entirely different day. It had only been a couple hours since I had been sitting at my desk and doing my work, and it had been the end of a busy work week, but at the same time, it felt like a lot more time had passed and it was a completely different day. And I was thinking about how awesome it is that you don't always have to have a full day off to feel the effects of self-care and to feel a little bit restored and rejuvenated. A night like this doesn't make all of your problems melt away, but I also think that it doesn't have to be all or nothing. You don't have to have a ton of time or a ton of money to relax and take some time for yourself. I hope this video encouraged you to find what it is that makes you feel good and to carve out a little bit of time in your day, in your week, or in your month just to have a couple of hours for yourself. The effects are measurable and they're so important and you deserve it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you want any of the recipes that you saw in this video, make sure you check out the description box below. They are all linked there, as well as links to Try Thrive Market and a little grocery list. So like all the snacks and spices that I use, you can find them all there. If you're new to Thrive Market, it's a great place to find wholesome, nourishing movie night snacks and some budget-friendly pantry essentials. And right now they're doing a special where you can get a free gift if you join today at a $22 value. So make sure you take advantage of that because who doesn't love a free gift? Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys in a video very soon. Bye.